we've looked at the structure and where everything is located. You should know at this point what components are and the differences between functional and class-based components. You don't have to know anything in detail, just syntactically how they differ. So let's create a new functional component, and we're going to keep up with the theme called cars. So one of my favorite cars is a Nissan 240SX, so I'm just going to name this component Nissan.js. So before we actually write any code, I just want to show that from the previous tutorial, I went ahead and deleted the test.js that's located in this components folder. From app.js, that means we're also going to have to clean out some of this code. Since this test.js doesn't exist anymore, we'll delete that. And we'll remove this console log cars, as well as pretty much all this information inside here. So now we just have a blank slate to kind of mess around with. If you don't have your development server running, you're just going to have to type in npm start by navigating first to your folder and then type it in npm start. So just navigate to the root directory wherever you installed your application and you'll be good to go. So in Nissan.js, first thing we're going to need to do is import React from React. Since this is a functional component, that's pretty much all we need. The next thing is to actually declare the functional component, so we'll call it Nissan. And this functional component needs a return statement that just returns a React element. In this case, it's just going to be a div tag with 1990 Nissan 240 SX inside it. If you remember from the previous tutorial, we also need to export default Nissan. So whatever our functional component is, we're just going to have to export it so that we can go ahead and import it in app.js. Now, if we go over to our development side, you'll see that nothing is happening right now because we actually haven't imported anything yet. So now this Nissan.js just resides inside the components folder, but in order to start using it, we actually need to go and import it inside app.js. So we'll just say import, and we're inside app.js, which is inside this source directory. So from there, we're just going to go into the components, which is a subdirectory of source. And then we're going to grab this Nissan.js file. So we also need to do this. So we're going to import Nissan, which is what we exported from here, from this directory. So now that we've imported it, we can actually start using it. So in order to render this component, we're just going to go inside our return statement, and this is pretty much the syntax for how you're going to be rendering components once you import them. For the time being, we're going to be doing self-closing, even though we can do eventually something like that, but we're going to get to that a little bit later on. So right now, we have this Nissan component right there. So let's see how it actually renders on the screen. And there we go. It displays Nissan 1990 Nissan 240 SX, which is exactly what this component returns. Now, what if we wanted to have another vehicle? Well, we could just create another functional component. So let's go to components. Again, create a new file. And this time we'll create a Toyota. So Toyota.js. Now for practice, we're just going to keep typing this in from React. Later on, we're just going to copy paste, but it's good practice. So function Toyota, and it's going to return a div tag, and inside that div tag, we're going to type in 1995 Toyota Supra, the last Supra ever made. If you see new Supras being made, it's a lie. So right here, we're actually going to do a comment. It says last Supra ever made, MK4. All right, now we need to export this. So export default Toyota. And again, now it's within our components, but nothing's happening. If we look, we have to actually import it into our app.js. So right underneath here, we're just going to import Toyota from components Toyota. And then in order to render this component, we named it Toyota, so we'll just call it Toyota. If we refresh, there we are. That's it. We can keep doing this over and over again as many times as we need to, but do we really want to? If we look at the two files, we're just displaying the year, make, and model. In the next tutorial, we'll look at creating a cars component that can take 3 identifiers as arguments and display them on the screen.